Have you ever stopped to question if your thoughts are as sharp as they could be? Ever wondered what it takes to be a critical thinker? Imagine this scenario. There is a mother and her son, Timmy. The mother asks Timmy to come paint a picture together. Now Timmy is distracted playing with his other toys while his mother is painting. Timmy's mum says, "I will go get more supplies. Come Timmy, help me paint something fun." A person walking by only sees his mother walk off while Timmy starts throwing paint on her canvas. In this scenario, Timmy does exactly what his mother asked him to do. However, the perception of the people walking by think, "Oh no, Timmy is destroying his mother's painting when she's not looking." The people walking by have jumped to a conclusion without knowing all the facts. Critical thinking in this scenario would be in many situations in our lives we see short clips of stories with headlines to make us believe for a fact on a small amount of information. We would be wise to consider all perspectives. Is this true? Why does this matter? Why am I being told this? Do we know the full story? Is the person telling us this biased, or are they a neutral and reliable source? Is there more information on this story I can discover on my own before I believe it to be true? What do you think? Let's start with the basics. What is critical thinking? Well, it's a mental process, a way of considering and analyzing information to make informed judgments and decisions. It's not about being critical in a negative sense, but rather it's about being discerning, perceptive, and inquisitive. When we engage in critical thinking, we're not just absorbing information. Instead, we're actively interacting with it. We dissect it, question it, and evaluate it. We ask ourselves, is this information reliable? Is it factual? Are there hidden biases? What's the source and how credible is it? We don't just accept things at face value. Critical thinking also involves questioning our own assumptions and beliefs. We scrutinize why we think the way we do, challenging ourselves to go beyond our initial reactions. We become more aware of our own biases and strive to overcome them. But it's not just about questioning and doubting. Critical thinking is also about constructing, about putting information together in new or interesting ways. We look for patterns, for connections, for relationships. We consider different perspectives, different angles. We think about implications and consequences. Why is this important? Well, critical thinking is a vital skill for navigating our complex world. It helps us make sense of the barrage of information we face every day. It empowers us to make informed decisions, to solve problems effectively, and to communicate our ideas clearly. It enables us to be active, engaged participants in our society rather than passive consumers. So, how does one become a critical thinker? It's not something that happens overnight. It requires practice, patience, and perseverance. It involves developing certain habits of mind, such as curiosity, skepticism, and open-mindedness. And it's about continuously striving to improve, to sharpen our thinking skills, to be better at understanding the world around us and our place within it. In essence, critical thinking is the art of questioning everything. So, how can one become a critical thinker? It's simpler than you might think. Firstly, it's all about developing observation skills. Start by observing your surroundings. Pay attention to the details, the patterns, and the relationships. Try to describe what you see and don't shy away from asking questions about why things are the way they are. Next, cultivate the habit of asking questions. This step is crucial in challenging your own assumptions and beliefs. Make why and how your best friends. These questions help you dig deeper into the reasons behind information or opinions. Remember, no question is too silly, and every question takes you one step closer to becoming a critical thinker. Then, we move on to evaluating information. In a world brimming with information, learning to distinguish between fact and opinion becomes an essential skill. Always consider the source of the information and its credibility. It's not about doubting everything you hear or read, but about being judicious about what you accept as truth. Now let's talk about problem solving. Life is full of complex problems, but they become more manageable when you break them down into smaller parts. Consider different solutions and weigh their pros and cons. This step not only helps you solve the problem at hand, but also hones your critical thinking skills. But remember, critical thinking is not a solitary exercise. Engage in discussions with others, listen actively, and consider alternative viewpoints. This helps broaden your perspective and exposes you to different ways of thinking. Lastly, reflect on your thinking. Regularly take a step back to assess your own thinking process. Identify any biases or assumptions that may be influencing your thinking. This self-awareness is key to improving your critical thinking skills. Remember, these steps are not a one-off process, but a continuous journey to developing your critical thinking skills. It's like building a muscle. The more you exercise it, the stronger it becomes. So keep observing, keep questioning, keep evaluating, keep solving problems, keep discussing, and most importantly, keep reflecting. Before you know it, you'll be a critical thinker. Now that you understand the basics, how about we dive a little deeper? Engaging in meaningful discussions is a vital step in honing your critical thinking skills. It's not just about airing your views, but also about absorbing the perspectives of others. Imagine a discussion as a marketplace of ideas. You're there not just to sell your ideas, but also to buy, to learn and gain insights from the ideas of others. It's about actively listening, considering alternative viewpoints, and weighing them against your own. This process expands your understanding and exposes you to a variety of perspectives, enhancing your ability to think critically. In these discussions, you're not just a speaker, you're an explorer, navigating the landscape of ideas, discovering new perspectives, and expanding the horizons of your understanding. It's a journey that takes you beyond your own viewpoint, challenging your beliefs and assumptions. Engaging in discussions isn't just about speaking your mind, but also about opening your mind to the perspectives of others. Let's move on to the next steps in becoming a critical thinker. Just as a chef uses a knife to slice through ingredients, we use logic and reasoning to dissect arguments, statements, and ideas. It's about separating the wheat from the chaff, the fact from the fiction, the logical from the illogical. Imagine logic as your mental compass, guiding you through the labyrinth of information. But beware of logical fallacies. These are errors in reasoning that can lead you astray. They're like optical illusions for the mind, seeming real but upon closer inspection, proving false. Examples include jumping to conclusions, making false analogies, or confusing correlation with causation. By learning to spot these fallacies, you can avoid falling into their traps. Now, let's turn the mirror towards ourselves. Reflecting on our thinking process is an integral part of critical thinking. This self-reflection is not about self-criticism, but rather about self-awareness. It's about understanding why we think the way we do, identifying our biases, and challenging our assumptions. Often, we're not even aware of our biases. They're like invisible glasses that color our view of the world. By identifying these glasses and choosing to take them off, we can see the world as it truly is, not just as we think it is. In this journey of critical thinking, remember that logic is your guide, reflection is your mirror, and biases are your barriers to overcome. Remember, the key to critical thinking is not just understanding, but also reflecting and refining your thought process. Finally, let's talk about the finishing touches to becoming a critical thinker. Now imagine you're an artist. Your critical thinking skills are like your canvas, and feedback is like the fine brush strokes that perfect your masterpiece. Seeking feedback from others can provide new perspectives, exposing blind spots in your thinking that you might have overlooked. It's a tool to help refine your ability to analyze, evaluate, and make judgments. But remember, feedback is only as valuable as what you do with it. Use it to review your thought processes, challenge your assumptions, and fine-tune your reasoning skills. Think of feedback as a catalyst for growth in your journey as a critical thinker. Now let's move on to practice. Like any other skill, critical thinking needs to be exercised regularly to improve. It's not just about applying it in a classroom or a debate, it's about integrating it into your daily life. When you read the news, ask questions. When you're faced with a decision, weigh the pros and cons. When you encounter a problem, break it down and explore solutions. The more you practice, the more natural it becomes. You'll find yourself questioning assumptions, considering different viewpoints, and making informed decisions with greater ease. So keep seeking feedback, keep practicing, and keep exploring the world through the lens of critical thinking. Your journey to becoming a critical thinker is never complete without feedback and practice. So, what have we learned today? We've explored the concept of critical thinking, its importance, and the steps to develop it. We've discussed observing, questioning, evaluating, problem-solving, and engaging in meaningful discussions. We've touched on the use of logic, self-reflection, and the significance of feedback and practice. The key takeaway: keep asking those how and why questions. Remember, critical thinking is a journey, not a destination. So keep questioning, keep learning, and keep evolving. Until next time, stay curious.